Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another edition of Likeable Leaders. It's been a bit, but I've been super busy building companies. And so please forgive me for not joining you with Likeable Leaders for a little bit. But I'm excited to be back with y'all. Hope you had a terrific Easter, Passover, Ramadan. By the way, this is the first time in, I think, 33 years that Easter, Passover, and Ramadan have all happened, converged on the same day. So how exciting is that? That whatever your beliefs, we're celebrating hopefully in the past few days. And as always, we're going to jump in and meet our special guest in just a moment. As always, if you comment, let me know where you're watching from. Let me know if you have any questions. You'll be eligible to win one of my books. And who knows, maybe we'll even give away some Oddsjam passes in a bit, but we'll see. In the meantime, after a Likeable Leaders hiatus, we are back, and here's why. As some of you know, I enjoy the gambling and various forms of it, just about all forms of it. And I happened upon this company called Oddsjam, which I thought was super interesting and cool, and played around with their tools for a bit. And quickly fell in love and thought, okay, I got to meet the person behind this. And so here we are. So I want to welcome Alex Monahan, the CEO and founder of Oddsjam, to Likeable Leaders. Alex, good morning and welcome.
Awesome. Nice to meet you, Dave. Happy to be on.
So tell me a little bit about the story here. You were at Stanford, I believe, when this first came about, or had you already graduated?
I'd already graduated, so I'd been in the workforce for about 2.5 years. So I moved to Pennsylvania after school, which was the second state to legalize online sports betting, like regulated sports betting. As a lot of people may know, there's always been kind of offshore gambling, Bovada, Bet Online, just other types of sports books, but not in the same way regulated sports betting has hit the U.S. So I was kind of in one of the first states to see sports betting launch. I like poker. I was a trader at the time, so I had a huge interest in just gambling and numbers in general, and always loved different types of gambling, like poker. So once sports betting launched, I kind of got super interested in the U.S. sports betting industry, and ultimately led to Oddsjam.
Awesome. By the way, I'm also a poker player, and I played in the World Series of Poker a couple of years ago. I did not cash, but I did outlast Phil Hellmuth, so that was exciting. Have you played? What's the highest level you've played at?
No, I don't play that high, like 5'10", not high at all.
We'll get you in.
Yeah, you beat me at poker, hands over fist numerous times. So it's also been a while.
But you didn't study business, right? You're an engineer by trade.
Yes. Yeah.
So like many great entrepreneurs, the way I talk about entrepreneurship often is entrepreneurship is solving problems. My guess is Oddsjam came out of solving your own problem of figuring out tools to win at the very challenging game of sports betting. Can you walk us through kind of the story of how it all happened?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd say, Pennsylvania, it was just kind of like every 2 weeks a new sports book would seemingly launch. You had the Australian books enter, like PointsBet, DraftKings, FanDuel, the fantasy operators. You had BetMGM. So there were all these sports books, which means a ton of data. And what people may not understand about sports betting, when people think you can't win at sports betting, gambling is very viewed down upon, I feel like, in the American eyes, but sports betting is kind of like poker. It is a game. You can look at the numbers, and because all of these sports books, they want to be unique, they have different odds. So you may go to FanDuel and get a different price than DraftKings, which is different than BetMGM, which makes it very interesting to look at all the data together. So that's kind of where the idea came. And then also we felt like, there was kind of a new wave of sports bettor. Like, there's so many new markets on DraftKings, FanDuel that books didn't offer before, player props, things like that people want to bet on, right? That the American Americans want to bet on NBA first basket, no runs first inning. And these types of, bets were not common really at all pre-launch. So we thought putting all the data together in an awesome product that had live data so people could see where they could get the best line would be attractive to people.
Awesome. If you're just joining us, I am live with Alex Monahan, the CEO and founder of Oddsjam, oddsjam.com. And I want to say hello to the people watching us from all over the world: Kenya, Nigeria, Turkey, the USA, of course. So welcome. It's great to have you all. And we have some fellow poker fans as well. But I don't think we'll be talking too much poker today. I think we'll be talking more about sports betting. Now, I actually just interviewed the chairman of Bally's, which will be the 9th and final entrant into the New York sports betting market. I'm a New Yorker. The New York sports betting market seems just insane. There are so many competitors. So, I'll ask you what I asked him. What do you think? How will they all differentiate themselves? And how do you think the sports betting market in New York, which is sort of jumped in, which is huge, sort of immediate, huge upon arrival, how do you think that plays out?
Yeah. So there's actually a fair amount of sports books that have the exact same odds, and then they buy their odds from a similar company, and then they just rebrand themselves. So a lot of it's marketing, right? How are you positioned? Are you the book for the big time better? Like it feels like PointsBet kind of positions themselves as. So obviously I feel like a lot of these books simply differentiate themselves on marketing. They have almost identical offerings in terms of the markets they offer, the features. Like there's this feature on FanDuel called Same Game Parlay that basically every other sportsbook has launched since then because it performed well at FanDuel. So I would say within terms of product, I don't think there's massive differences aside from ability to use the app or something like that. But it's really not like you go to one sportsbook and you can't find really player props. So I think it's going to be really competitive. I think there's going to be a lot of consolidation. Maybe not this year, but we're already kind of starting to see it / hear rumors about it. So I think over the next 5 years, it's going to be probably a lot of consolidation in the industry in terms of the operators.
So I have to ask, I think of Oddsjam as like, a set of tools that really help you optimize your chances of winning and essentially taking down the house, a la, Rain Man, which we've all seen, and sort of the counting cards, all these different tools that you can take down the house. And yet, obviously, you have a relationship with all these sports books, and you need people to use all these sports books in order to exist. How do you see that playing out? How are you both a partner with these sports books as well as essentially helping customers try to beat them?
Yeah, I would say there are a variety of different types of sports bettors, and the way Oddsjam was founded was simply data. Actually, a lot of the tool ideas that are on our site now, we never even considered building. It was simply a function of like, what did users want initially? So we kind of just built the product with the idea of showing the data and then linking out to sportsbooks in a very similar way to some of these European odds comparison sites do. But we realized a lot of people are willing to pay for tools right now, so we built them. I would say at the same time, Oddsjam, we're very focused. We have a lot of content on the site, and people use our tool, in different ways. We are not. Our goal is to provide content. We have a YouTube with picks and some math behind sports betting. Our goal is to hopefully create content that appeals to all ranges of sports bettors, because I feel as if like every company, you start with maybe a more narrow niche, which is, I would say, also a lot of companies in the industry, and then you expand out. So I would say our average clientele, more mathematical than the typical sports bettor? Absolutely. But as we kind of ramp up content, editorial, do we see that significantly decreasing? Yeah.
So let's talk math for a moment and break it down for all the people watching who maybe aren't as sophisticated mathematicians. Give us as if you were talking to a first grader, maybe a second or third grader. the definition of EV or expected value and how one can benefit from a greater understanding of EV.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's an implied relationship between probability and the odds you're getting. So a good way to think about that is betting something at plus 100 odds means you have to win 50% of the time, because you're betting 100 to win $100 of profit. So you can win one, lose one, win one, lose one, and you'll just continue to scratch. So if you are winning at over 50% of the time, then in the long run, you would turn a profit. Whereas if you are winning at less than a clip of 50%, you would lose a profit in the long run. So essentially what EV is it's looking at data, from a particular sports book. Let's say, you're looking at a sports book to essentially back out the implied probability or the win rate of a bet, and you're using that number to inform your betting decisions on other sports books. So essentially, it's just trying to use live market data in the similar way to maybe a trader would use the Bloomberg terminal to look at live market data. Historical data in sports betting gets a lot of eyes on it, but it's pretty useless in general. Lineups change, matchups change. So it doesn't really matter if Draymond had 5 assists plus like his last 4 games. Like, this game is different. And I would trust the live market data and what people are actually betting on, a fair, free market, over historical projections. So Oddsjam is really the first product to kind of consider live market data in backing out implied win probability.
I love that, though you definitely failed the first grader test. I do think you explained it in a way that hopefully our viewers, who are in fairness not first graders, can understand.
I have a better way, really quick. So people think about the stock market. How I think about the stock market is you have an EV of roughly 8%. What I mean by that is the expected return of the market is probably around maybe 8%. So some years it may go down, some months, but over the course of the long run, at least historically, it's going to go up with variance. It's very similar to EV in sports betting or even possibly poker.
Good. Okay. Well said. So let's move on to talking about the business itself. We often have, frankly, much more mature, bigger businesses on our show. And what I'm curious, for to hear from you as a relatively new entrepreneur is what's your big vision in terms of building the organization, the company. How big is it now, and what's your vision for how you can grow it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we have a pretty good grasp on the engineering side as well as the content side. There are definitely some things in sports betting that or any new industry that are a bit of a gray area to us, but kind of our goal is to really start to take over content. And what I mean by content is across all social channels, as well as looking at how we can rank on Google, with really the goal of driving our affiliate business. That is the goal currently of Oddsjam. Our team's pretty lean, about 6 people, and we plan to keep it that way. I don't see a massive need for us increasing the size of the team really anytime soon.
Okay, interesting. I will tell you that as a customer, that I love the marketing is impressive, relentless but impressive. Certainly email marketing, which I can certainly appreciate as a marketer. Although it will get into some questions that I have about likability, which is really my next set of questions. As you know, we ask everyone on the show to reflect on the Likeable Leaders pyramid and tell us, which appeals to you the most as a leader. And I think this is an interesting question for you as someone that's building a business that has an engineering background. Business is still quite lean, but you have to certainly think through these types of things as you do grow and as you do have staff and team members. So of the 11 traits on the likable pyramid. And I'll post in the comments the likable pyramid for those of you that are watching and that aren't familiar with the likable pyramid. Of the traits, which resonates the most with you as a leader, Alex?
What traits resonate the most with me? I would say authenticity and transparency. We try to be very transparent with Oddsjam that this isn't a product that you're going to get rich quick. This isn't, the typical marketing in the sports betting industry, which is, some sleazeball in Vegas telling you you're going to go from $50 to 10,000, or even you'll see, a lot of marketing in general, just by all types of companies in the industry is like that. So I would say, we try to be very authentic with, like, sports betting is not easy. It's time consuming. It's hard. Can you make money? For sure. Can you have an edge? For sure. Can, it be fun and also responsible? Yeah. So I would say that's something we try to do well. And on the email marketing front, we obviously believe we have a good product and a very good product for the industry. So, a lot of people, I would say sports betting is new to them. So it's how can we convey the value and hopefully get them to, start a free trial like maybe you did.
There you go. I do think authenticity is really important, of course, in all things, but especially in this business where, to your point, there is a lot of it doesn't have the best reputation in the world, the industry, right? It has a very challenging reputation. And I think thinking through comparing it to the stock market and focusing on things like the importance of discipline and thoughtfulness versus get rich quick, I think that will benefit you greatly. I'm going to turn to our audience. If you have any questions for Alex or me, please post them in the LinkedIn chat where we are streaming live. And I believe we're also streaming live on YouTube and Facebook, but we typically have a bigger crowd here at LinkedIn. And we'll see if we have any questions. So it looks like Susan wants to know about how the New York State regulations are affecting the business model. I'm not sure if she means your business model or the bookmakers. I know that the bookmakers are sharing a startling 51% of earnings with the state. 51% taxes go back to the state. So it's that's truly a remarkable number. And of course, it tells me that there's a lot of money to be made by the bookmakers. What are your thoughts about the regulations and how that impacts you and maybe players?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I don't really care about the taxes on the bookmakers as long as the bookmakers are able to be in business in the state. But I will say, like, I think this is similar to maybe some other industries that are pretty hot right now. Sports betting is something people do right now. They're doing it offshore. They're doing it illegally. And, obviously for us, our sports betting company looks to provide content, education, and also data in the space. And we wish more states legalized sooner. There are a lot of states coming up. It looks like Canada just launched, Ontario just launched, New York launched earlier this year, Maryland, Ohio look to be coming up this year. But it is something that it's a lot of tax revenue for the states, and people are doing it anyways. So obviously, I'm a big proponent. I was a very happy guy when sports betting came to Pennsylvania, and I wish it would speed up elsewhere.
But were you from Pennsylvania originally? Where are you from originally?
I'm from Virginia. I worked in Pennsylvania post-graduation, and now I'm in Arizona. Nicer weather.
Wow. There you go. So is there gambling in Arizona?
Of course. It legalized, I believe, week 1 of the NFL season. And that day I said, okay, well, I guess I'm moving back. I guess I'm moving to Arizona. I visited a lot. I have some friends here, and so I just knew it. So now I'm here.
All right, I'm going to wrap us up here. I'm going to ask you one more question. Alex Monahan of Oddsjam, oddsjam.com, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, no affiliates for me. Like I said, we'll send people there out of the kindness of my heart because I like your product and I like what you're building here. If you give one tip to people watching about how to maximize their chances of success. As one simple tip to these, let's say, casual sports bettor, right? It doesn't have the time to do all the research, doesn't have the time even potentially to use Oddsjam. What's one piece of advice that you would give to the casual sports bettor out there?
If you don't have time to educate yourself, don't bet too big. I feel like it's kind of like trying to day trade and going in blind because you think a company's cool. People think the Lakers are cool, so they bet large sums of money on them, and that's not how you bet on sports. So,
Right. If anything, the fact that people are betting on large sums of money on the Lakers or the Yankees, for instance, gives you a clue as to who you should probably take with better expected value, the other team.
Yeah, there we go.
Thank you so much for joining me today, Alex. Best of luck to you. And if you have any questions that Alex didn't answer, post them in the chat, and I will have him go through and answer them later. Thanks, everyone, and have a super, super likable day.